All right. Good evening, everybody. As the title says, tonight we're going to be trying to use reinforcement learning to have an AI beat Pokemon Red. A large part of this will be setting it up today and then just kind of letting it run. So we're hoping to get to a point where we can have it running on its own and training and the model learning from its progress. Now, the nice thing here is that a little over a year ago, there was a YouTube video that had gone viral with experiment from another person who had had initially set this up. And then he shared it on GitHub and made it easy for other people to come on and kind of continue the work with it. I'm just going to share the GitHub repo here now because it has most of the code that you need to get started. It even has like starter guides for people who are on Windows. So let me share this out here. And famously, in his video, he had a couple different iterations of the model. The first iteration basically would just stop in the first town. And that's because the rendering of the water moving was enough for the AI to think that it was constantly getting its reward for exploration. So the best action for it to take was no action. So there was lowering of the threshold there. And then later on, he had realized that the AI started to avoid the Pokemon Center altogether because how it was working was it was giving the AI a reward based on the level of the Pokemon, but it was only looking at the active party of Pokemon. Or what happened is it would accidentally go to the PC and it would deposit a Pokemon, which would then dramatically lower its score because it was giving a point for every level. So if you had level 10 Pokemon, you put it in the gym, suddenly it lost 10 points on its score. And so it eventually learned that I shouldn't go anywhere near what looks like the Pokemon Center, because when I go in there, I lose a lot of points. And so he had made some updates there and had gotten it to the point where it was getting, I believe, in Mount Moon and eventually getting stuck there because there's a lot of exploration going on in that area, but also you have to make it through to really get to the next one. And I think he had updated a little while after that he had actually successfully gotten through there and then into Cerulean City. The idea here is that I can run things locally and try and get things or get this to the point where hopefully it can do more in the game beyond just Cerulean City and see if we can get there. So I'm starting from his code base in that GitHub repo that I had shared out. There were a few things that when I had experimented this earlier, I did not really see it rendering the window for the instance, so it was hard for it to follow along. He does have a site where it's supposed to render people who are actively playing, but I had not had any success figuring out which one was mine. It's here in the stream agent wrapper. It's a broadcast that goes out there. Where did I set? I set my name to Joe the AI guy. Where is that in here? Yeah, where is that in here? So come here, env.streamwrapper. Go here. Sorry. So there's metadata. Okay, so let's have to come here and update this. using the broadcast wrapper in your environment. Is there anything here related to the stream? No. So I'll pull this over here. This is the current map of what's happening in the game. We'll come down here to, there it is, Palatown. You can see there's a couple people in here who are running a number of tests. This updates, it takes game actions like 24 times a second. See a few of them just kind of get stuck. And you can see even here, it's on the Pyboy, so this might be him himself, out here training things. Looks like he's stuck and then it cut out when it reaches a certain number of steps in the iteration. Let's see if there's anybody in the other parts of the map. Yeah, I don't particularly see it. Here it goes. Off training another instance. You can kind of see them running around, then it gets stuck here again and again. This is going through Viridian City, and then it's going to go through the forest. You can see if you actually get into here. And then once they're out, he's now into Brock's gym here in Pewter City. I mean, you can see they're moving pretty quickly through the area. And then you go over here in Mount Moon. But interesting to see them moving along. I do want to find the metadata just so we can see where ours is moving in the progress here. So let's try and find. I want to find the stream wrapper. So it's not there, but this is where it says to come to update it. So this is stream wrapper here. Stream the metadata. Okay, so I probably need to update this here. So let's go back to what he has. Let's call user. It's going to be Joe, the AI guy. I'm going through what he has here. ENV ID would just be the ID we're passing through, which is already set here. Let's set color. Let's use hex codes to find something that stands out. So I pick teal. And let's just leave that there. Save it. And now hopefully we will show up when we're displaying. And then it says to use the, in his quick start guide, to run the baseline parallel fast file. And let's see if there's anything else here. Okay, so then this is our instance. We want to do Python run baseline, sorry, parallel fast.py. Now take a moment. Nice, so it is off and running. Let's see. Well, he's got way more going. Look at that, he's already in the mountain. Now at this point in the training. Let's see if we've popped up on the map and if we have anything to go off of. Test chords. Not us. Did it start? I don't see anything yet. And I don't see us rendering on the map. A lot of these are now stuck. Oh, something else exploded on here. Okay. Yeah, another group. Let's see. Did we? No. Checkpoint. Callbacks. Let's check what happened here. So we're in baselines. We want to go to the run parallel fast, which we have open. And it required positional argument logdir. Let's see what that refers to. Okay, let's read this again. Did everything? We want to go to line 51, callbacks. Is it the checkpoint callback? Is right there. Perhaps it's the tensor board callback here. And it's missing the log directory. Interesting. Well, let's see. Because it defines logdir here, right? Let's see. So it requires starting with logdir. But then this sets it. So then TensorFlow callback, we're just gonna say log equals. We need to set a value here. Why is it saying this? It doesn't like this just because I haven't defined anything yet. So this should equal session. Oh, sorry, ses path. And let's see if that fixes it, because I think this is telling it where to save everything to. Yeah. So let's try this one more time. Check in here and see what's going on. Bunch of around. Off and around moon. Seems like a lot. Well, we're hoping to see them here come out and make it into Cerulean City. That is off and running. Okay, so it says we are here running somewhere. Let's see. It's taken about 80 steps so far, or 380 steps. Whoa, something's happening, like glitching around here. Interesting. So it's getting points. It hasn't gotten any points for leveling our healing yet. Let's go see. So there was a thing called dead, right? In the variables here. It's about 2,000 steps. Let's see. Got anything here? It's hard to make out with so many in here, but I don't see our Joe the AI guy. I assume I really wouldn't be outside the starting area. Maybe I'm wrong. Drink some water. I don't see us here. Let's see. This just talks about the reward scale, but are there... Right, so the environmental fate includes point rewards and printing those. But I want to try and find where they are because I'm going to guess. Okay, so it completed the first iteration. Took about 3 minutes. Took about 40,000 steps in the game. But let's see. So what does this use? It uses Red Gem Envy. So the step count, the levels, interesting to see here. Some heal going on, so it healed its Pokemon. You can kind of understand why you would want it to learn that. Update reward. So it's going to take its level and then divide. So let's do this. No, it doesn't change anything. Interesting. So he's using a method here to decrease the rewards. And so here it is on the string here. And what is now data training iteration. So interesting. This time it had 4 events happen, and then it got a low boot. So it's prioritizing whatever it's defined as events here. Let's see. I see. So it's using this to get them, so I can check the levels. Things like the you can see what it's doing here is it's getting a lot of level rewards, but they're fading. So I'm wondering, are we on the map at all? We're not V3, not V2. We didn't define ourselves that way. You said Joe the AI guy. Tab over here. Interesting. So this time he's finding Victory Road, but can't do anything that'll let you pass the entrance. But really, where are our guys? Or guy, I guess. So it seems like we have at least a few Pokemon now because we're getting a level reward. So I don't think that's us over there. I would suppose it catches a lot of Pokemon early on, maybe. So the stream wrapper is here. Does this use stream at all? Let's use the sensor board. Where is... Let's look at the rest of this guide and see maybe there's something that's missing. So if I go here, go to Documents, where I have it saved, and then it says to go to the session. This is the 929 maybe? I don't particularly see anything in these. Okay, let's do this. It says we can go to localhost to see the tensor board. I'm not seeing it. Let's see. Yes, I don't think I have that set up correctly. Let's go. Oh, and a framer. Interesting. Oh, I think I did that because that's the folder that I was in. Yeah, so I think I just killed our run. Let's see what we can learn here. So go back here to his board. We'll leave this displaying at the time. So that was the baseline parallel fast version. He then says there is a baseline v2. Here's the one I updated. Okay, and then come here and Python run. No, sorry. Baseline fast v2 pi. Let's see if this goes better. We're seeing that initial warning. Let's quick pop over. This smaller. We'll log in the session. Hey, we're starting to pop up. Cool. So there we are in orange. I wonder if this is why, because it was a different version, if the localhost was not, the tensor port was not working for that version. I'm still getting site can't be reached. So we are, well, very much not moving. We're kind of stuck around Professor Oak's area. How many versions do we have out there? Okay, they're gone. Probably about 8. Yeah, I hadn't set 8 here, just to run through this before. Could increase that, but I didn't want to, throttle it too much. Yeah, look at this. See, this has it set on that, but it did not have it set there, so that would have been fixed up. So that way we can run. That's probably why they're saying it's like the older version. Just clean it up. Come here. So TensorBoard should be active. So let's see. Yeah, certainly don't see us anywhere here yet. And the scores are all relatively low, so it hasn't learned a lot. But let's see. There we are. We're appearing again. What did we see? Reward scale. ENV column. So this is still running. This is running V2 of this. So Let's find this. So go through here for events. It's saying there are some coordinations. We are kind of still stuck here in the initial town area. I'm wondering if we will make it out. Part of what I'm trying to see here is there was a explore. If not in config. Gotcha. So you can pass it a config. It will then try and find those in what it has here. We're not in parallel fast. We want to keep this open, so I'll double click it. Then I'll open this. So we're saying the reward scale is half and config print rewards is where? It should be true. So why? Sorry, there's a difference between V1 and V2 in terms of the print rewards part. And so we want to see that sets it. Here it says that. Because we're no longer seeing it being displayed here as it goes, whereas when we were doing it before, just make this full screen for a second. Right, we were getting these updates as it went. So it was parallel fast before. Rewards was true. So if print rewards is true, write the step, and then print out the key value pairs. V2, those should still be happening. Now let's bring this over here. Single double quote should not matter. So far, the model's updated 5 times. It's around 6 iterations, about 5 minutes. I would really like to be able to see what we've got here. We're still in the town area. Oh, look, we got a few that are working their way up, which is pretty good considering we're only running 8 instances at a time. So I think I have enough here. What I want to do is I want to stop this. If it'll let me. I have a cough drop. I should probably use it. Let's see. I think it's doing the updates now. We are starting to make it out of the starting area more quickly. So far, that's been nice. I would really like to see the river. So let's go back here. Apparently I had messed that up. So I don't want to go in here yet. Because I want to be able to check it after. And I also do want to increase the number. Interestingly, there was a v3 in the repo. So the map steps that it will take is about 16,000. Reward can only go to about 5,000. So what I do want to see is I want to see reward. And if I go here, so this minus 22 divided by 26, that's a huge scale down. Right, because that scale plus the Explorer. I do keep wondering, though, where is print? So where does it initiate the save and print info? Here. So this has been disabled. Right. Let's just see if there's anything. Print. So why is this print stats equal false? Oops, I don't want to do that. I want to go to the next instance of print, which is back at the beginning. Is that just true? I don't particularly know what exactly I'm changing with that. And so I do have some hesitations. Ideally, I would like to be able to tell it to stop the training instance. There we go. Because I want to use the updated versions here. That's the old one. This is the new one. Dream agent wrapper. We didn't need because there was a version in here. Joey, yeah, I got it. This was 006060, I believe, for tuning. Just want something that stands out even stronger. That's 8080. 8080. Save this, save this. At the end, it's scaling the stats. So let's do the badge score. It's basically saying there are 8 of those. That's it for badge. Level. Looks like that refers to get a levels reward, which will go to that. And so this was being when it is less than that, it's simply the sum of their levels. But then once level sum is equal, or greater than 22, it becomes a much smaller number, right? Because it's going to get a sudden decrease in the score. Could this be cause for some of the issue with why it would suddenly like stop? So once you get to level, like your level sum is 22, right? Then your explore threshold takes over. So then you scale down to 0 of your level sum. Right, it would be 0 over 26. And then you gain a level, and now you're 1 over 26. So this creates, you're gaining at a high pace, and then you're going down a cliff. And then you're slowly coming back up. Why does that particularly matter? I'm supposing, let's see, you can have 6 Pokemon, even if they're all level 3. You would already be at 18. The starter Pokemon that you get is level 5. And then it becomes level 6 when you beat the first trainer. So now instead of 18, you're already at 22. But that assumes you have a full party. You don't start with full party. You start with just your Pokemon. So I think the reason for doing it this way is that you level your Pokemon up a bit, and then, or you catch a bunch of Pokemon, and then you basically downrank to the point that you are exploring again. because now your explore score should be higher than the scale. But I think this creates, I still see an issue here with at the beginning of the game when you kind of have some scale issues. Because like I said, you're going to start here with a relatively high level score. And if you level up your starter Pokemon a lot without catching other ones, you're increasing. Let's say you have a level 15 starter now. You're going to have a 15 score. You're fine. You catch a couple Pokemons, all of a sudden you have, because a lot of the starting Pokemon are levels 2, 3, and 4. So then you have level 15, you catch 5 other level 2 Pokemon, you're all of a sudden at 25, but your score for your level had dropped significantly. Right? So you're 15 with 5 other level 2 Pokemon. That means that your score is now 25 minus 22, so 3 over 26. Yeah, I think it hits a wall all of a sudden. This may be worth to come back to. Yes, the minimum Pokemon and the starter, yeah. Because you're going to get 2 plus 4. Yeah, it starts at 6 once you complete the first battle. Oh, it's just a reward. When it updates. It still creates a little bit of problems because it's going to reward you more highly if you finish with a few weaker Pokemon. So I think it would be worth it to come back to this. Let's go through. We made some adjustments. It may take a little longer to get set up because now we have it running, at 24 instances, I think. CPU, something like that. Wrong one here. Oh, it's still set to 8. Okay, so we did get it that it is printing out the score as we go, which is nice. And then we can see here some people are rendering out of the game. Okay, here we are in the green. Let's see, it's B2 default. Yeah, that's fine. And then environment ID is the rank, it says. That's just the score the instance is running. Okay, that's fine. But we are off and running. Looks like we hit 4 explore points, and then we capped out for retraining. So let's see here. It's going to make one for each CPU. That's fine. So EP length is, okay, so it hits 2,000 steps and then starts the training. And it's going to run this for 40 iterations. Here I see our score spiking up, but I don't see what it is that's triggering that. I do see events pop up here and there. Let's see. We're over here. Here's a number of versions getting stuck. There. I guess he's running both versions simultaneously. We're off training again. But we've hit about an hour mark. We've got it, at least a good understanding of what happens here. Again, we're using a already set up environment to run these. We're just using his tests for now. We were doing some searching through the code just to find things and set for ourselves. So here we just appeared again. I believe it seems like because we're spread out, maybe that we are picking up where the last session left off in the training. It does have 40 iterations to run through. And hopefully we can improve this over more. There's a few things that I had seen that might need some tweaking, particularly when we hit the, where was it? The level adjustment. Well, that's here in the environment. I think it's level sum was one. So what was happening here is that if it's already the sum of the levels from here is already over 22, there's a sudden drop in the score. There are a few ways that the AI can learn to get around this. The ways to do that would be to keep only a few Pokemon at the beginning, already being strong. This does have an adjustment for each Pokemon. It's adjusting by 4 for the starter, and then 2 for each Pokemon because that's a minimum level. You can't catch any level 1s in the game. Everything is level 2 minimum. So by the time you beat your rival trainer at the beginning, your starter is already level 6. So you have 1 Pokemon at level 2 plus 4 for the starter additional levels. That makes sense to me. But now if you imagine you level that starter to level 16, you'll get 10 points for that Pokemon. And then you're not getting downranked at all here because you're still below this explore threshold. Even if that explore threshold wasn't being straight away subtracted here, we would still have the same issue because we're all of a sudden changing the scaling significantly. So you can imagine you have your starter Pokemon, right? You'll get a sudden boost in score. When you catch Pokemon, you get a sudden boost in score. But then all of a sudden, your score gets dropped dramatically. And it's just because you're taking actions in the game. I'm wondering what the logic here was for implementing this. It does have a max function here. So when that score suddenly drops, you're still going to be reporting the old level reward, but for a while, it will have no incentive to level up. Right? So you're going to hit the combined, 22 levels, I guess, minus the, you got 12 for each Pokemon. So at most, if you have every Pokemon, it's going to be minus 16. So you're going to hit level 38 across your party combined. And all of a sudden, it's going to be no longer gaining reward for leveling Pokemon. Right? Yeah. So then all of a sudden it becomes far more incentivized to do other actions for a while. And I'm wondering if that's why for here, the Explore score ends up being quite large in comparison, because our level score here is 0, but let's see. Even if we had the initial starter Pokemon and we never leveled it, our level score would be 0. Right? So this then alleviates an issue of when you suddenly gain a starter Pokemon that is hanging around at Professor Oak's. It's incentivized to go out and catch Pokemon this way. It's also incentivized to heal itself. To do what is op level, I'm not sure. Okay, so the level of your opponent's Pokemon and the max of them. So if it's 0. So by doing this, you're encouraging it to fight stronger people along the way, because that's how you would increase this score. So, okay, that makes sense. Total healing reward seems pretty straightforward. Get rewarded for going to the Pokemon Center and healing your Pokemon. Get a reward for getting the badges. So, interesting. I'm wondering if there is... Okay, so when it does the check, if the health increased, increased the... Hold on. Would this ever occur? If the current health is greater than this last, and this, whatever this hex code is, or not hex code, whatever this code represents, then do these two. If your health at the last time was greater than 0, do a check on your healing, if you've gone up or gone down, and add it to the heal map. Over time, this should increase a bit. Let's see, we're still at... We've not gained any score in that last training iteration. Now all of a sudden, look at this. We got heal score. We got score for leveling. And we got events to occur. So we're on iteration 8 of 40. We healed, but we also died. So minus 0.1. There I do see some fluctuation. So at some point we did along the way die. I do see some fluctuation in leveling and healing. Let's see where we are on the map. don't see this rendered yet. Oh, that's because we are now running another training batch. So what's happening is it runs for about 2,000 steps in the game, and then it runs a batch training. What this does is it looks at the scores across the last iteration and tries to figure out what it did that increased those scores, and then it's going to incentivize those actions more. I would assume we are not here. We should be somewhere around this area. When we come back in, maybe we are like here in the grass, but I wouldn't think we had gotten very far. There we go. We pop back in. So it does seem to take a little bit. We are running around in the grass for the most part. We only have 8 instances. Most of them are here in the grass. A few of them have started to make it out of the starting area. I'd be curious for some of these that get stuck in the grass. Like one of ours is here. What happened? Did they finally maybe get the starter event? We're at another training instance, so they'll disappear shortly, but that's pretty cool. So I think there's a few things here that just will kind of logically make sense. Some of this is going, and each episode is only 2,000 steps in the game. And because we can run about 24 actions a second, it's basically every few minutes. It's going to go through and it's going to run a day. Like we completed 11 batches in, let's see, 6. Yeah, we're about 11. So it takes about a minute per iteration. That stops the train and do this. There are a few things we're going to do on the next iteration. We're going to increase the number of CPUs, and then I'm going to attempt to let this run over the night. So what I'll do is I'll massively increase this episode length, because right now it will probably run for about an hour and then come back and make changes to do the score, but we would want to increase that along the way. And then what I can do right now, we're on this session ID. And then like I would uncheck this along the way. And you can see here, this has to match this. So the number of iterations, I might variabilize that out personally, just so that way it can be consistent across the two, and I can make one change instead of making multiples. Let's see, it runs a learning at the episode length times the number of CPUs. So episode length, boom, times the number of CPUs times 10,000. I think the other version of this had it every 5,000 as the multiplier. Yeah. So it's trying to let it run a little longer between the learnings. And then the other thing is trying to see if we can get the TensorFlow up and running. No, still not working. So afterwards, we can always come back and we can make adjustments to the hyperparameters here. If we wanted to adjust the learning rate for the model, but right now we're just trying to understand better what's happening each point along the way. So here we are on the map again. We still have a few versions of us stuck in the corner. A few more stuck there. It's interesting, our explore score has started to come down a bit. On this one, it jumped back up massively. We got a few. Good. So we had a few events happen. Got a few levels beyond the starting levels for the Pokemon. Unfortunately, it died once. And then it did a large amount of exploring. So you do want to incentivize exploring to move locations. I do think this is a little bit high for the ratio, but what I was hoping was with time it would improve more. The flip side to that is if we over incentivize the leveling, then its only focus would be to fight and level Pokemon. And it would probably do that for a long while here at the beginning before it continued to do anything else. Another thing that might be worthwhile is if we look at the events that are happening to see what triggered those and maybe incentivize those more heavily. This is all the events that happen in the game, and there are codes. So get a point for beating each trainer in Giovanni's. Beat the trainer before block, got his TM. So you get 2 points for beating Brock basically because he gives you this immediately after. Beat your rival in Cerulean City, the Rocket Thief, and then go to the gym. Interesting. Vermilion after beating Surge. I'm trying to see if there are. I guess I can just search HM. Yeah. So it does have points here for obtaining the HMs along the way. Looks like there are events for beating each of the trainers too. So this incentivizes fighting the trainers, which should also give you levels. So it should heavily incentivize. This heavily incentivizes battling other trainers. But we're hoping it figures out that you would want to gain a few levels before using other trainers. More checks for healings. We're on iteration. Well, it's done 17 iterations already, so we're about halfway through. When things on the way, I'm just gonna check. Yeah, nobody in the chat with questions. Yeah, it looks like that version has started. Oh wait, it takes a moment, I forgot, after it starts to show it. There we are, we're still there. We have not made it out here. Part of this is probably because you're going to get exploration, a lot of exploration by going off this way, but you're in a few levels, right? Whereas if you continue on this way, you're not gaining much, right? You're still going to get some exploration. You're still going to get a few levels. but not much. And then that forces it into the forest, I guess. Go through there. So I have a few thoughts I'm wondering about with understanding this a little bit better as we I'm sorry. As we've gone through some of these functions here, the level rewards, I think it's in here, level. Right. So because there's a reward for your max opponent level and the level of your Pokemon, and there's an event reward for everything, it seems like it's highly incentivizing fighting the trainers. Right. If I look at this, now the thing about healing is it's not, I'll describe it. Because it's taking snapshots along the way, you can have a situation where you're at full health, you then fight, let's say let's fight another trainer. You actually take damage along the way. And then you heal yourself before the snapshot completes. Essentially, you never then got the healing reward. Right? Because I think these scores okay, so it is every step that it takes. So let's see, what is the step definition? Okay, so every step it checks. But this means that step is not necessarily tracking the actions during a fight, right? So it would never get a reward for healing during a battle. Unless I can find somewhere along the way, right? Its incentive would be to heal only after the battle to boost the score. I was looking to see if we were appearing on the map and if we've made any progress really outside the city, but it does not look like that at all. So let's see. Yeah. We're about 20 instances here, 20 iterations here, and we're back on training again. We only have eight CPUs running at a time. I'm curious here. Let's see, task manager, and it is basically maxing out my CPU. Part of that is I do have the stream running. Mostly it's the Chrome is chewing up things rather than my terminal. So my terminal is only running about 4%. And let's see if there's any. Okay, Python is about 20%. Those two are trading off with one another. So if I wanted this to run better, it seems like it was actually good to take this down to 8 instances at a time while I'm doing the stream, because we are getting most of my resources are switching between Python and Chrome. part of that is going to just be having things open. I'm going to close out some of these extra tabs. I know that won't get me back all the space, but at least it should get a fair amount of resources freed up. At least I hope. Yeah, so instead of it being about 30 to 40% rotating between the two, now Chrome's dropped down to like 20 to 30%, and then Python has immediately ate up those extra resources. Let's see if there's anything extra. Okay, so like one note open. Let's see. That should help now. Take that down more. Let's see. Yeah, so I guess I still have a few instances of Chrome open. Just trying to close those out. Is our Python running? Yeah. So when that's running, it's ticking things up. Also, Visual Studio Code running, ticking things up, which it's using over a gig of memory. But I think it's kind of necessary for the purposes. So in general, I'll see more performance after I end the stream here. Oh, great. That dropped. So Chrome now is in like the 10 to 15% range. And then Python is immediately using up those CPU resources. So hopefully that means that we can do better instances of the training here. I'd be curious to see, I know my FPS for the instances have been around 200. If that would spike up even higher. I initially left it on, I think it was 32 instances was the default that they had set. And I would get like an FPS of like 6. So hopefully this creates an improvement. There are a few interesting things here that I learned along the way. So it seems there are a few instances where I want to think about how it's handling it. Like right now, the level score we're seeing is like 0 again. And there was a few times earlier where I had gotten it higher. Just not sure what exactly it's doing as far as the level score goes. So I thought it was a max in the code, right? Yeah, so it's going to take either the current score or the adjusted scaled score. And we had seen instances where we did have score for level. Another thing to try and get working is the TensorFlow dashboard. Following what it said should be where it's accessible. I did not have any I don't think those are right. What I was looking for was just trying to get TensorFlow dashboard up and running. I was curious to see if it could show us the reward score over time and try and focus on what those occurrences were that were causing the increases in the score to try and point the model in the right direction. So for next time, or the next time I come around on this, it will be improving TensorFlow. What I'm going to do, at least what I think I'm going to do here, is if I can get one of the windows to display doing it, then I will, or during the training, then I will have that kind of running as a stream so we can kind of track its progress. Overall, if not, like if I zoom way out, you really can't tell what's happening here. Oh, it looks like there's a version that got. Okay, this is the Pokemon Center over by Mount Moon. It made it, I guess, through the first gym and then trying to continue on. And, oh, look at here. He's got into Misty's gym. Although it hasn't necessarily figured out battling Misty. It looks like to, no, I don't even know what's happening there. And there's a bunch more to go through still, I guess. But curious, like his version has gotten further along. When we first came in this evening, most of them, well, a bunch of them were getting stuck at the Victory Road entrance there. It seems like it's figured out that is not the way to go. Now it is progressing along the path by Mount Moon, and then we've got a few into the Cerulean Gym. So I do intend to, after this first iteration finishes, I'm going to go back, have it run again with much longer iterations and see. There's two things. I'll pick up where this one left off and let it run with a larger number of iterations. We are on 25 out of 40 right now, just to see the improvement. And then maybe before the next development session, which will be like Saturday, I'll do a quick checkpoint on where that's at, because I can let this run in the background during the day, or during the night and most of the day tomorrow, to see how it progresses. We're on number 25. Overall, the time that's elapsed, about 2,000 seconds. So we're about, what, 30, 40 minutes into an hour, or 30, 40 minutes so far. But we're also I'm also going to increase the number of steps it takes before retraining. If I had to guess, once you do some of those initial trains, it would become more incentivized to do a few training sessions early. And then as it becomes better at understanding, kind of lengthen those sections out. So maybe adjusting by a factor of their reward score to the length of the section would be worthwhile. But that's just kind of spitballing ideas out there. And then I'll kind of go through the code better or more to see how it does. It looks like now it had gone back completely to the beginning for his training. There we have, we're stuck in town from what I'm seeing here. We have not gone very far. And the idea would be to at least get to the first town. So I'm going to call it here for the night. I think you're just going to let this run through its last couple iterations. So we're making adjustments. So because I won't be streaming those over the evening, what I'll do then is wrong file here. This one. I'm going to increase the number of CPUs, and I'm going to massively increase the number of episodes. So let's say 40 takes an hour. I'm going to let this go to like 400, let this run be like from 11 o'clock to what, about 9 a.m. till it finishes. and also set my laptop so that way it does not turn off or go into the battery mode on its own. Let's see here. When plugged in, turn my screen. I don't mind the screen going off, but don't put my device to sleep. I think that's fine. Yeah, you can see like I unplugged it for a little while. Yeah, so let's do that. That should let it train overnight. So that way we're good to go. We'll do 400 episodes. Yeah, and make adjustments there. And then I'll pick up this session here and use that as a start point. So it looks like he had a cerulean checkpoint. We do not have it in our directory, so that's fine. I'm just going to pick up where this current session left off, which this one is the B68 one, and we'll continue from there. So for those of you who are seeing this, we are picking up the work of Peter Whitten. I'm hopefully not butchering that name. He had put out a YouTube video last year on reinforcement learning and trying to teach an AI or machine learning model to beat Pokemon. He'd only gotten it to, I believe, just like the Mount Moon area at the time, but it had some interesting findings early on. And those were what he had talked about during the video. So even though it didn't completely beat Pokemon, it didn't even really get to the second gym of the 8. It still had a lot of good, interesting findings and great explanations on why what was happening. And so what I'm hoping here is to, today we had started by picking up that work and doing it. I'm going to let it run because 40 is a decent enough session or a decent enough amount of iterations to get ideas. But I want to let this run overnight and come back and see what changes I can think to make and see if we can get it to improve. Because there's a few things that I had seen based on the reward scoring that it's like heavily incentivized to fight trainers along the way because there's an event for each one of those. It also gets rewards for leveling up. And you also, but when you fight another trainer and you win, you're going to level up your Pokemon, incidentally. So that has extra incentive rather than fighting random battles to go fight those trainers and get the rewards. And then he does have extra points for the badges, which then heavily incentivizes it to find the gyms and beat those trainers. Because I think it's like a 5-point reward for beating the gym. Plus there are multiple event points for beating them. There's one because they will always give you like a HM or well, they'll give you an HM after it, and as well as the point for beating that trainer as well. That and it's incentivizing it to move forward to the objectives of to beat the game. You have to beat all the trainers and beat the Elite Four. Level up your Pokemon. Don't die. So that's why when we look here at the scores, there's a dead score here. So at one point, one of the instances had died. And so it took a hit there. So then it would learn to not do what that action is. Unfortunately, this is at least downranked, so it should not interfere too much with trying to beat certain trainers and everything. There's points here for actually healing the Pokemon. And there's one here for the opponent level. And that one I was curious about, so we looked in here. It's not this file, it's this one. And it's the max level of your opponent. I'm pretty sure that this is intended to be the rival, so then it would incentivize you to also keep moving forward in the story, because there are these scripted rival fights along the way. And then once you defeat your rival, it would give you a huge boost in the score. We have not seen that yet along the way. Just scrolling through here, we're on iteration 31 to 2, so it's triggered on average 4 events across them, and then a few of them do have Pokemon who've gained a level. There's been quite a bit of healing going on. The dead has decreased, which is nice. And then a huge reward to the explorer. So quickly moving out of that beginning area, and then doing some leveling of Pokemon events. There are a large number of events in the event file here. There's a JSON file here. So you can see just being given Pokeballs, following Oak, going through some of the initial events here. There are a bunch of numbered events that don't necessarily have information here. You do get, oh, it's interesting. So we haven't gotten too far then, because if we only have about 2 points, we probably haven't even gotten very far out of the city. And I'm wondering if it can learn what are the triggers for these events, rather than just going, like, we're looking at the event JSON. Right, but we want to, you go through all these, it's giving you points along the way. This is where we had seen further down. Okay, this is beating Giovanni and getting his TM. You can't do that until later, but the event points will always be there for when it could do that. Go to Pewter Gym, beat the first trainer that's there, and then go through and beat Brock, which gives you the TM. So that's what I said about, like, there are multiple points for events, but given that we've only had 2 event points so far on average, it basically means that we've triggered some of the things that are happening at the beginning of the game and nothing more. I'm wondering too if that's why sometimes we see, oh boy, so somebody's here really running some things. It stops here for a number of people, and if I remember right, once you start going into the grass, that triggers Professor Oak to show up, and so you would get a huge boost in your score by getting a point here versus the other things that you could do. But we'll see. We're on instance number 33. I do see a large amount of fluctuation. I'm not sure if that's a 6 or an 8 that is happening in there. So something is making decent progress as far as those key events go. Now it dropped out for a second, but you can see how, oh, there we are again. Some of these are stuck at the computer, and then others are stuck in the corner. Now I think, dropped out for retraining, where I would like to see it to learn more, to actually kind of progress through the routes. But we will pick up the checkpoint a little bit later on that. We're on instance number 33. So like I said, I'll be ending the stream here and setting it up so that way we can run overnight tonight with it. And then what I'll do is I'll pick up this checkpoint from this instance. Oop, don't want that. This instance here. And then using that to continue off the starting point, so we don't have to restart from scratch. And like I said, we'll let it run for about 400 iterations overnight, which I'm going to guess is going to be roughly about the 10 hours, given that 40 has taken almost about an hour downtime. So that's all for tonight. For those of you that are here, thank you for coming. For those that are watching this at a later point in time, we're trying to train using reinforcement learning and AI to beat Pokemon Red, and then we can transfer a lot of the learnings to other versions of Pokemon if we wanted to. But right now, it'll need a lot of iterations. Right now, we're only running 8 here on the map. That's just because my computer was basically not able to handle too much outside of those 8 instances while I've got the stream going. So another thing I can do while I'm offline is try and see, I do have a GPU on the machine to try and see if I can actually get it operational and running some of the things here, because that will speed up training, the training time that the model takes, and also just speed up general processing. So for those of you here, have a great night, and then we'll see you again Saturday.